You won't see me doing the huge, insane news YouTube titles that often, and the reason is because when there is actual huge news, I want you guys to know you can click on my video and get some huge, insane news. I don't want to be crying wolf, even though that strategy does work if you want to get a lot of views. Now, with that said, today at the State of Play, Larian Studios surprised us with 2 new videos and a ton of news over on Twitter, a ton of secrets and the trailers. There's just so much to talk about right now, and a lot of you guys are going to be extremely happy. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Over here on Larian's Twitter page, we have some new banner artwork, which is quite beautiful. I would love this as a desktop background. And underneath the Baldur's Gate logo, you can see that it says, "Gather your party, August 31st, 2023. We finally have an official release date for Baldur's Gate 3. All of you guys that have been part of the early access process for over 2.5 years now, it is just crazy to finally be in this home stretch and have an official release date. Before today, all we knew was that it was coming out in August of this year, but now we have that specific date, which falls on a Thursday, I believe. I would say with like 70 to 80% certainty that this date will actually happen and there won't be a delay, because I think Larian has really taken their time with early access and they're definitely in that polishing phase right now. I would still probably hold off though on taking vacation days this early in advance. I've learned the hard way in the past before I was doing YouTube as an actual job. I always got screwed whenever I did that. All right, now beneath the release date, there's also some really huge news. And you guys can see the PlayStation 5 logo right here. The game is launching on a console, which is just crazy because I think a lot of us were thinking that this game will come out on consoles at a later date, 6 months to a year after the PC release. But nope, Larian has been working on the PlayStation 5 version and it's coming out on the same day as the PC version. This is really huge news. And I think they did an entire tweet for it. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to PS5 day and date with PC August 31st, 2023. And then in the new trailer that I have showing right now, you guys can see this is Baldur's Gate 3 on the PlayStation 5, and you can see the button prompts and you can see how the user interface is quite different. And I will be breaking all this down in a video probably in a couple days from now. As for Xbox players, I'm not entirely sure. I would have expected it to also come out on Xbox if PlayStation 5 was announced, but there's no news on that right now. So we'll have to keep an eye out. Perhaps Larian is going to unveil the Xbox news a month or 2 down the line to bring some new hype into an unexpected player base, or maybe they're going to do Xbox and maybe like Nintendo Switch 6 months or a year after the official release. And also, I would think it's probably not going to come out on old gen consoles. That's what I'm leaning towards right now. So if you're PS4 or maybe even Xbox One, even though we don't know if it's coming out on Xbox, I wouldn't get too excited. I don't know for certain, but I'm thinking that this game might just be a new gen thing because it really is taking advantage of a lot of new technology. Now, the game's also, of course, coming out on Steam, the GOG store. I have an affiliate link below if you buy it on GOG. Thanks for using it. And also, GeForce Now was announced a few weeks ago. Some of you guys might have missed that news. This is really good because a lot of people were playing this on Stadia, people that might not have a PC that's capable of running this game. They're playing it on Stadia, and Stadia is unfortunately no more. So a lot of players got to dip their toes into the game and get excited for release, and then all of a sudden they don't think they can actually play it. But now it's coming out on GeForce Now, which is another cloud streaming platform, and it works pretty good because I have used it in the past. Now, the really cool thing that some of you might not be aware is if you buy this game on Steam, it will sync with GeForce Now. So if you buy it on Steam, you'll also be able to stream it on GeForce Now from your computer, or maybe like you have a traveling laptop that isn't good for gaming, you'll be able to stream it from GeForce Now. You won't have to buy it twice like you would have had to do if you were playing on Stadia and also Steam. And we're not even done with the news yet. Alongside all of this great news, Larian also gave us a community update number 18. I should first quickly mention that the game is also coming out on Mac on August 31st. For those of you guys that are Mac users that may not be aware. Now, the first thing we'll talk about here, I don't want to get too spoilery in this particular video. I'll break down the trailer and get into the antagonists and stuff like that in a future video. But I think I can mention right now that J.K. Simmons is playing the role as an antagonist known as Ketheric Thorm in Baldur's Gate. And J.K. Simmons is an Academy Award-winning actor. Played a lot of great roles over the past, I don't know, 30 plus years probably. This is pretty cool news to have an Academy Award winning actor voice acting a pretty important role in the game. You know, this is a CRPG, even though it's also coming out on console. It's kind of a niche genre, and also it's Dungeons and Dragons, and you have people like J.K. Simmons that are now going to be a part of it. We also know from a recent update a couple months ago that Matthew Mercer from Critical Role will be voice acting for the role of Minsk, which is pretty cool. Also, actually even cooler than J.K. Simmons, if you ask me, because you know that Matt Mercer is really passionate about Dungeons and Dragons stuff. All right, let's scroll down a little bit. We should also talk about split screen co-op, which Larian Studios did mention 2.5+ years ago when early access first came out, but we haven't heard much from that since. Those of you who prefer to navigate the world using analog sticks and buttons may have caught a glimpse at what full controller support for Baldur's Gate 3 will look like for launch. With split screen co-op too, you'll be able to experience the entirety of your adventures in Faerun with another player on the same device. So you can do 2-player split screen, which is really awesome for those of you guys that want to play with, you know, probably mostly family, because a lot of friends will play from their own homes. Other great news, Baldur's Gate 3 will also support cross progression between PC, Mac, and PS5, allowing you to transfer your saves between platforms and continue your adventure wherever you purchase the game. Personally, we'll be taking our experience on the road with the Steam Deck, that was also news as of last year, and then venturing home to enjoy the cinematic experience of interrupting an ogre's horizontal tango from the comfort of our sofa. Don't forget the popcorn. Now on to news about the Digital Deluxe Edition. So Baldur's Gate 3 is getting a Digital Deluxe Edition on launch. Here's what you can expect to find within. I'll go over this in just a second, but first let's take a look at this image right here. So the base game on PC is $59.99. The Digital Deluxe Edition will be $69.99. The Collector's Edition is $259, I believe. I did do a video on the Collector's Edition in the past. I'll leave a link to that below in the description. Now, what's important to note here is that if you are playing early access right now, or if you purchase Baldur's Gate, you pre-order it before the game actually comes out, you're paying the base game price, and you get the Digital Deluxe Edition for free, so you don't have to pay that extra $10. When the game actually launches, you'll be able to choose between buying the base game for $59.99 or the Digital Deluxe Edition. But if you already bought the game before the official launch, you get that Digital Deluxe Edition upgrade for free. For PlayStation players, it's going to be $69.99 for the base game and then $79.99 for the Deluxe Edition. So basically the same exact thing that Hogwarts Legacy just did. Now, I should also quickly mention, and I will clarify this in a future video, PC players who pre-order the game or play early access should also get early access to the official launch 72 hours before the 31st. You're going to be limited to that Act 1 range of content, but from what I understand, we should be able to start our official playthrough 72 hours before. We just can't progress insanely far into the game. And this should also be the case for PlayStation players. You guys should be getting an early access period 72 hours before the official launch. I don't know if you're going to have to buy the Digital Deluxe or if you can pre-order the base game and get that. I'll have to get more details on that. But you guys should also be able to start your official character. You just can't progress into really the Act 2 territory from what I understand. But I will clarify all this in many more videos before the game actually comes out. But basically, in early access right now, your save progress won't carry over to the official release. But if you get the Digital Deluxe Edition or you pre-order it, you'll get that 72 hours early to start your character. You can't progress insanely far into the game. Okay, now let's go over everything that comes with the Digital Deluxe Edition. And actually, let me go over to their actual Baldur's Gate 3.game website. And you can see here that the Digital Deluxe Edition comes with exclusive Collector's Edition dice skin, PC or PS5 dice skin, depending on which platform you're playing on, Divinity Bard Song Pack, which will allow you to play certain songs from the Divinity series in Baldur's Gate 3, so that should be interesting. The Mask of the Shapeshifter, Cape of the Red Prince, the Lute of the Merryweather Bard, Needle of the Outlaw Rogue, the hat that Beast wears, paintings from Rivellon, and that is, from what I understand, discover a new collection of paintings across the Forgotten Realms, so relating to the Divinity series, an Adventurer's Pouch, which will basically start you off with some camp supplies and potions. You get a digital OST, which should be fantastic, digital art book, and also digital character sheets. So all of that is for $10 more unless you pre-order at the $59.99 price, and then you get the Digital Deluxe Edition for free. Now, most of you on my channel know that I'm never a fan of extra digital content that you can purchase in a game. These are technically cash shops in a way, but with that said, I think Larian's doing it a pretty good way. Everybody that already has the game right now is going to get all this stuff for free, so you don't even have to pay the extra money. And if you don't want any of this stuff, which trust me, you don't need any of it, especially if you don't like Divinity Original Sin or you haven't played the Divinity series, you won't be able to really care about a lot of this stuff, except of course the OST, which in my opinion is probably worth more than $10. Just get the base game. There's nothing wrong with that. Most of this is just cosmetic stuff outside of the Adventurer's pouch, which will give you camp supplies and a potions, or a few potions, which you don't need camp supplies. Trust me, you'll be able to find plenty in the game itself. Okay, so the last thing we got to talk about, I don't think I missed anything else, is the new minimum system requirements. One last thing, Baldur's Gate 3's graphical fidelity and complexity has improved quite a bit as it's grown throughout early access. We've been keeping an eye on its minimum system requirements, and as the game nears release, we've raised the minimum system requirements listed on Steam to better reflect the realities of the launch version. So let's check that out right now. Honestly, I can't remember what they were before, but if you're someone who is a little bit worried about this stuff, make sure to look at these system requirements closely. It's also here for Mac and Windows, so you can see depending on what you're using. And of course, if you feel like your PC can't do it, you can always look into playing on PlayStation 5 or GeForce Now. One thing that I noticed, and I'm not sure if it said this before, but it says storage, 150 gigabytes available space. This is a pretty dang big game. I gotta say, I'm pretty excited. And yeah, that'll be it for today's video. We have a ton of new information that was just thrown at us, and I promise I will further explain in more detail and clarify things as the months go on. I'm gonna let the trailer play out uninterrupted right now, and I think I'll probably do a trailer breakdown later this week as well, because there's a lot of cool stuff that you can see in the trailer, but it's probably a little bit spoilery, so I'll save that for a separate video, and I'll catch you on the next one.
I'll tell you a story, true soul. My life was dismantled piece by piece. And when I tried to buy it back, it cost me everything. I must finish what I started. Death's design will be complete.
Discover Ketheric's secret. Find out what it is that makes him invincible so we can strip him of his advantage.
You're a pawn, a slave to forces you cannot comprehend.
Ketheric is a frightening man, but you have something he doesn't. Allies worth having.
Together, we will strike down the Absolute.
Bow before me. Bow before the Absolute. Bow!